Hello, Piotrek, where have you been? What's happening with four-step productivity? Where are the next courses? What happened? So this is my life update to share where I am, what I do. Like you can see, beautiful sea behind me. So a short update about the crisis, about music and dance, about four-step productivity and next steps, about my 4 month trip to Asia, and actually what are the next steps with four-step productivity. So fasten your seatbelts and let's go. I'm sharing this because I think I'm beginning a new chapter. Finally, it took a long time. I was resisting it. I was resisting to stop and maybe reflect on what was going on. But finally, I had to stop. I had to rethink what I do. And so this update is all about it. My last 5 years were full of emotions. I went through a crisis and I didn't realize it until I had to realize it. It was really tough emotionally. First, tough family situations that actually influenced me a lot. On top of that, we have a Polish-Ukrainian home. And so when the war started, that was another layer of torment that added to it. Actually, in 2021, my New Year's Eve was in Kiev, and I spent there also part of January, and then a month after that, the war, full-scale war broke out. So that was another layer of like full of emotions. And actually, so that was one thing. The other thing was something I could call a midlife crisis, crisis of meaning. I have my years already. I did a lot of projects, I did courses, I trained thousands of people. But then I discovered some new realities, and then the question is, okay, now what is the core of what I do? What's the core of who I am? And what are the next steps? My time is limited, as you know, and your time is limited too. So the question is like, what is the core, the essence of what I want to do for the next, let's say, 10 years? On top of that, I realized that I have a lot of patterns that are dysfunctional, that I don't want, that somehow block me from growing, that, let's say, are from my home, from my family, from the surroundings that I was grown into. And I didn't want it. I realized that the moment that I'm about to have a growth, there is something happening that blocks me from that. So I realized these dysfunctional patterns. And it was time to just stop and reflect on them and just maybe hug them and go through them and start the next chapter. And so, yeah, that was a time for the last years I was trying to maybe push forward, have goals, have passion, and just move forward. But now I realize I need to stop, I need to reflect, I need to build a foundation for the next chapter. And so this time was for it. So that was part number one. Part number two is a big discovery for me. When I made the first four-step productivity course on focus, I had my own agreement with myself that when I do the first course, I can finally spend some time on music. So not to split my activities into music and four-step productivity at the same time. Let's maybe start working on the first one, and then I'll be able to spend some more time on music. And so I thought 2023, I would like to split like 50-50. That's actually a dream of my life, to have a balanced life, one on time management, trainings, courses, and stuff like that. The other, music. So I thought, let's try to move in 2023 toward 50-50. But actually, it was more 70-30 for the music. And a side story to that is I discovered dance. You know, I have my age, and imagine that I come back home and say, honey, you remember four-step productivity? Now I want to be a dancer. Of course, it couldn't happen, but I found something with such a great force that I know I had just a few things like this in my life that I felt is so strong that I just need to pursue it. And so 2023 for me was a year of dancing and discovering the movement, because last years I spent on acro yoga and other stuff, and I discovered and actually fell in love with my own body, probably the first time in my life. And the dance connected with music was something, a completely new discovery for me. So I knew like software engineering was like this for me, and electronics when I was younger. and then actually being an educator, trainings, and so on. I knew I touched something with a huge power, so I went on that journey. Yeah, but of course that creates a lot of questions. Okay, time management, forced productivity, then music and dance, like how it all connects, like what's the core, the essence of it that I mentioned in the beginning, like how it all connects. So there was a lot of chaos. I was also exploring creative time. I shared all these like four types of time, which we have goals, we have rest, we have relationships, and we have creative time. I had a lot of good discussions about creative time, how to do it well. I had great interviews, a lot of insights from people giving feedback in my courses. And so this is this creative time with no expectations, maybe a bit of chaos. And I found that the more a lot of people, let's say productive people, actually are very unhappy because of that. That there's a tension between goals, things to achieve, that you pursue something, at the same time being completely here and now. So can you have both, or is there one without another? So that's something that I found, that some people are just so obsessed about the goals and achieving them that their mentality is all about this gap, that there is a goal to achieve and they want to be there, but they stop paying attention to what are they now, to the beautiful surroundings, to coffee they drink. It's always about getting more and more and more, and never enough. So that was my, let's say, discovery of things that are also pre-verbal. You look at my face, your brain, or maybe you just listen to my voice, but anyway, a big part of our brains were made and, let's say, constructed and finalized before we had a formal language. So there's a lot of this pre-verbal stuff that we still have in our brains, and this fascinated me. That happens in dance, that happens when you sometimes feel the energy of another person without him or her saying a word. So you get that in, let's say, massage, you get that in dance. I made a lot of, maybe not a lot of, but a couple of courses on mindfulness. I made mindfulness-based stress reduction course. I started to meditate more than I used in the past, and that was also trying to be more in here and now, maybe to balance this goal setting and achieving and being constantly somewhere else, not here and now. So that was another pursuit. Yeah, and so if you connect all this dancing, massaging, and doing like body stuff, being in nature, sipping good coffee, trying mindfulness, and an important shift happened. A lot of things that inspired me in the past started to be awfully boring. I had people that I admired, and after a couple of months, I started listening to them, and I realized how obsessed they are and how unhealthy this is for my case, and I think that it's also unhealthy for a lot of other people. So I try and I want to be more balanced in what I do and what I share. And to be honest, forced productivity didn't work, and didn't work also because I didn't feel it. There's something about, in Polish I had slow productivity that spoke to me a lot, because there was productivity connected with slow, with something that is more juicy about life. But forced productivity is basically about steps and about structure, and this feeling part of forced productivity was missing, and I felt it more and more, that there is some piece missing in forced productivity, and I couldn't spend too much time on that because I felt there is some kind of tension. So another point to stop and reflect. What was it that I was dealing with? Is it time management, or is it something more? You all know it already, but I had to realize it in my mind. So that was it. I got many things backwards also. I started with courses and trainings for companies, and then I started doing like online courses, selling it to completely different people. And then I was everywhere, not focusing on the core where I started. Actually, I cut all the trainings for companies and I started missing them. So I came back. So there was a lot of chaos that I could also call creative time, but there was a moment that, there's a gathering options, but then I have to narrow down. So this time to narrow down was actually just the last 3-4 months. So when you want to summarize things and you are in chaos, you may try to maybe cool down things a bit, or you may go to the other extreme, and that's what we did. We actually packed our things. I was lost. That was just not the nicest feeling, like being okay with being lost and not knowing. I don't know what I want. I don't know like what's the core. And with this I don't know, we just went into extreme, packed our things, and moved for 4 months to Asia. And we took looking from a distance and from a perspective to a bit different level than normally. It's not like a weekend of reflection, but it's like 4 months of traveling through Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and looking at things maybe from a bit different perspective. So I knew that when I come back, I want to be clear and focused, like what do I want, why I want it, what are the next steps, without rushing. So I want to be in the moment. I fully believe in what I do, in the next steps, and there's no like tension. I'm not fully there yet, but I think I'm getting closer and closer. And there was a super important realization along my way when I was trying to name things like what is the life that I dream about, what is it that I really pursue in life. I realized that I already have that life. There's not something that I have to go and chase after, or something that I don't know, I have to prove to myself. Or of course there are items or things that I would like to buy or things that I would like to be, but my life and the qualities that I have right now today are the qualities that I like to have in my life. And that's a super important realization, that I have the life I dreamed about, but there are also important things I would like to achieve still, but there's a completely different energy in that. So that's how actually 2 brands or projects were born out of this realization. So I'm just sharing something that I didn't share in the past yet. I realized I'm about 2 things. One is more cognitive, like right now I'm using words. I used in the past some formal constructions, maybe structures and other things. And that's something that's not for the productivity. It's more about productivity by heart, by something, by feeling. Is it that I go to bed every day and I'm proud of what I do? When I think about a goal to achieve, do I really believe in myself? Are these really my goals, or my family goals, or somebody else's goals, or society goals? Do I really believe in what I want to do, and do I believe that I will get there? That's for me productivity by heart, which is more about the feeling about what I do, how I do it. And the other part is more intuitive, pre-verbal, and I called it the primal touch. The touch of something that you cannot even name. That's when you dance or when you do different things in your life, like art, you express yourself. There are no words that can actually explain what's happening. If there's a woman and she gave birth to a child, she can immediately connect with other women who gave birth to a child. This is a feeling that you cannot express in any way, and you cannot pass it, for example, to me. I can listen about it, I can look for art about it, but I will never fully feel it. So that's a primal touch, about connecting to something more primal. For me, this is bass, heavy bass music, and experimenting maybe with the move, with dancing. So starting now, I'll be focusing on 2 brands. One will be more about like naming things, structures. It will be productivity by heart. And the other thing is more music, dancing. It will be primal touch. And I think about it as I'm a tree. A tree has roots, and tree grows, but tree also has fruits. It also has flowers. So yeah, fruits are practical. You can eat fruits. You can use fruits to plant another tree. They are very practical, juicy. At the same time, we have flowers, and flowers are just beautiful. We love flowers. We put them on tables. We give them as a present. They are more about emotions, how you feel, and about maybe expressing some feelings. So this is how I also see myself. It took some time to realize that I have these 2 paths. One is more about something practical that you can use, and the other is something that makes you maybe feel a bit different way, connect you to something important. And I have so many people to thank to. I met with my therapist, a couple of coaches, consultants. Big thanks to Beata, who challenged me on a lot of things to maybe get the core of what I want to do and who I am. And one of the people that I want to thank you is also you. Without you, there wouldn't be me. I didn't produce any content for a couple of months, and you're still watching this, and it means that you're still interested. And without you willing to learn anything about my work, it wouldn't be me. So you're a big inspiration to just move on and produce some more. AI is coming, and it may actually mean that we will miss more and more this human touch. And I realize that that my work and everything I do, no matter if it's productivity by heart or primal touch, is about this human connection, about something that sometimes can be named, but sometimes is maybe more intuitive and pre-verbal. So that was probably my next years of exploration of making courses, webinars, and lectures, and whatever I have there. I hope you'll stay there and stay with me on that path. I need to do a bit more cleanup, and I'm ready to start my journey. And it's actually fascinating to have clear path in 2 projects or 2 brands, having next steps. That's something I was missing for the last years. I was maybe escaping and trying to rush forward, and maybe I'll find it on my way. But that was this time to just stop, reflect, and ask for help as well. And so here is where I am today. So it was a beautiful, transforming journey, very rewarding, not always too nice. I would like to have a full clarity like every day and maybe, be the productivity guy that knows all the answers. But actually, I was lost myself. I touched emotions that were just too strong for me. They transformed me. Maybe there was a midlife crisis on top of that, I don't know. But it feels good to have a bit of clarity, to have this core understood, and I hope you'll just find it in my next actions without much talking. So thanks for staying with me. Let's keep in touch. I'll be sending newsletter. I will rename all the things from 4-step productivity. It was like boring and maybe out of life. And I feel productivity by heart much more. It's about being proud of your achievements, and who you are and how you end your days. So thank you once again. See you in the next chapter.